Hello students, today we will study about the Chasis ground in an electrical circuits. This term we often use in our studies and we should know the basics of it. So Chasis means a support or a framework which we use to upload the other components, or we can say that it's a load bearing framework, right? In Hindi we call it as dhacha, or we can say that it's a nyayadhar or adhar, we can say, right? So now you know the meaning of chases, that what does it mean. So it's a framework which need to bear some kind of load. Now let's go directly to the electrical terms, that what actually it is. So, what do we have? We are having a support framework on which we are going to mount various components. For example, some sort of capacitors, or ICs, or resistors, or whatever components we need in our electrical circuit. Okay. So, in one line, we say that the electronic components are mounted on a conducting metal sheet. So this conducting metal sheet is used as a chassis ground, right? Is used as a conducting metal sheet is used as a chassis ground, right? And on this conducting metal sheet we upload various components, and we provide them, we connect them through a path, because since this is a conducting metal sheet, so definitely it will be having its own path, and then we provide them a same ground. Okay, so that's known as chassis ground, right? Now, in one line, as I said, that electronic components are mounted either on conducting metal sheet, or a non-conducting plastic board with printing wiring, or we can say that this is known as PCB, that is known as printed circuit boards, right? Okay. Now, so, what we do? What do you mean by this ground? As I said, that we connect this support framework, or this conducting metal sheet framework, to the ground, and that's known as the chasis ground, right? Now, since it's a metal sheet, so it's definitely going to be a very good conductor, and it will definitely provide a very good return path for different currents, right? Different currents from where? From it may be from resistor. I mean, it can pass through from the resistor, it can pass through from the ICs, or from the capacitor. Okay, now, these circuit voltages are measured with respect to the chassis ground voltage. And you know that once we put something on the ground, we consider the voltage to be as 0 volt. Okay. Now, that's known as the, or we can say that we consider that as zero potential, right? Now, we can also that the say that the selection of chases as a common ground greatly actually simplifies the circuit wiring, because you don't have to do that since you are having a metal conducting sheet. And we can also simply draw the diagrams using all these kind of things, and it will really be very helpful for those who are electrical engineers. And it's also nowadays a common practice to show various electronic components connected to chassis ground with the help of ground symbols. Now we will see that what are the ground symbols. So here we are having, suppose we are having a battery, suppose we are having a battery, positive, negative, positive, negative. And as you know, the current flows from positive to negative side. So we have connected three resistors, right? One, 2, sorry, this has gone, and the third one. And can you please tell me in the comment section that these resistors are connected to battery in parallel or in series? So can you please tell me? If you can't, then let me help you. As you can see that the current flows from the positive terminal to negative terminal of the battery. Okay, so what happens? The current is going from this side. The current is going from this side, right? Now what happens? As soon as the current reaches here, it gets one more path to bend towards this side. Who? The current. But partially some of the current also gets the path through this wire. So some of the part will go through this wire. Suppose this section is I2, this section becomes I1, and the current which started initially from the positive side of the battery was I, right? Now I has been divided into I1 and I2. Now further, as I2 reaches at this point, suppose we call it as A, we call it as B. As soon as the current reaches at B point, what happens? This I2 is further divided into I21 and I22, right? I22. Now what happens? This I21 starts flowing. Suppose this is R1, this is R2, this is R3. I21 flows through R2, I22 flows through R3. And what happens? All these three currents, they come and combine here, and it again becomes as I. Okay. So how, whenever you see that the current initially, I mean after the initial beginning, it distributes in various components, then you must say that they are connected in parallel, right? So now you know that how will you recognize that the components are connected in parallel or series. Okay, so these resistors, these three resistors are connected in parallel to this battery. Now suppose these four components are on some conducting metal sheet. We have put them on the conducting metal sheet. Okay, and this is the corner of that, we can say the side of that conducting metal sheet. So this side, since this conducting metal sheet, or we can say that the chassis ground, we have connected this to ground, so we call it as chassis ground, right? We call it as chassis ground. We have connected these part to the chassis ground, or we can say to the chassis. Therefore the potential on this side we will be considering on 0 volt, right? So this is how we can simplify the circuit. Now calculations are very easy for us in this type of circuit, right? So this part will be known as chassis ground. Okay, I will also tell you the different kind of symbols that you can use. We can also draw the symbol instead of this way. We can also draw the symbols in a different way. Instead of putting the full line, what we can do, we can just draw a battery. We can just draw a battery. Okay, we can connect the resistors, okay, in the parallel, and instead of showing them connected thoroughly through a solid line, what we can do, we can show them connected to the ground separately, like this. Okay, we can show them connected to the ground separately. So this is also a way to show that these terminals all are connected to the chassis ground, right? Right. So why do we call it as chassis ground? Because the whole framework, the chassis, has been connected to the ground. Okay, and all the potential whatever we measure, like suppose we are measuring potential about this resistor, this is R2. Okay, then we will be measuring the potential with respect to the chassis ground, and chassis ground potential will be considered as 0 volt. I mean, we will consider that for the simplified calculations. Now, so we were talking about the PCB, right? So we will just take one more example for the PCB, that is the printed circuit boards. So what happens? Suppose we are having two resistors and one voltage here. So since PCB is printed circuit board and it is made up of plastic, so it is not going to be a conducting metal sheet, right? Since it is not going to be a conducting metal sheet, so we have to put something on the board that should conduct the electricity, right? Then only we will be able to put the I mean one terminal on the ground, right? So what we will do, corners we will put the corners with some conducting material. We can say that we can solder the edges which may serve to conduct the electricity, and that may act as a chasis ground, right? Because see, ground means all the extra charges is going to the ground, to the lower potential. It is going to be at the lower potential, right? Suppose these are the soldering around the edges that we have made, okay, and this is the battery that we have put, right? And then we have connected a resistor here, and then the another resistor here, and then we have connected this to the soldering which we have done on the corners, okay. Now the soldering is, suppose these lines are the solderings, right? Remember, these lines are soldering and hence these lines are conducting, okay. So if we have connected the one side of the resistor to these solderings, that means we have put them on the ground, and these soldering lines around the edges of the plastic board are known as chasis ground, right? So you know that what is a chasis ground and how do we use it, right? Okay, so all the best. And if you have any kind of doubt in the basics of electrical circuits, please leave the comments below. And thank you very much and all the best.